Live. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
With the what is it, 8th episode of Commit.js. Today we're going to be I don't know, kind of remodifying how lit HTML works. Last time we were debugging it, and it turned out to be very interesting. So today we'll be pretty much changing certain functionalities to make it work the way we want to. But I don't know. Do you guys want to say something before we start, or I don't know? I'm feeling a little bit sleepy today.
Yeah, okay, I second that. But I think you pretty much outlined what's going to be happening. Like last time we looked into how everything works, and now we use that knowledge to upgrade it and to tweak it.
So what are our goals today? So first we're going to fork lit HTML, and we're going to start modifying it. And the first thing that we have to do is a few episodes ago we created this function that was called render without commit. This is something that pretty much calls the commit phase on all of the elements except the one which is the template result. We are doing this because we actually don't want to attach the templates to the DOM, because the typical behavior when you're committing the template result is for it to get attached to the DOM. This is the phase where that we want to actually leave and do on our work loop commit phase. So this is the first thing, and and the other thing that we want to do actually is to be able to create custom components, like custom web components or custom elements in this commit phase of all the other elements or all the other items. So pretty much we want to be able to run all the directives and create all the custom elements on node commit phase, or no, it's actually on the HTML phase when we're calling the HTML function. This is what we actually want to do. So whenever you call the HTML function, we want to be able to run all the directives and to create all the custom components that we actually have. And the next part will be just committing these results, connecting the templates to the DOM. So let me just, I guess. So yeah, this is our application. I actually, by accident, removed the dummy code that we wrote, the simple code that we were debugging with last time. And yeah, so we'll start. I don't know. We can either create it again, or maybe use what we already have, because it's not so complex anyways.
Yeah, maybe that.
I'm just wondering how to proceed, but okay, let's proceed by going to lit HTML and forking it. I think this is going to be the first step. So let's go to GitHub, Polymer, lit HTML, and this is the library. Now we want to create our own branch that we're going to be working with. Where is the fork? And here I'm going to fork it inside commit.js. And we have to wait for the fork to get ready. Then what we're going to do is we're going to clone this inside our directory. So let's go inside the commit.js directory that I have on my laptop and say git clone this thing. Okay, so I've just cloned it. This means that I have it locally. There it is. If I go here and I open it inside Visual Studio Code, we're actually going to see the code One other thing that we want to do before we start doing anything else is install all the dependencies, because as you see, we have a package JSON and we have a bunch of dependencies that we'll need so we can, for example, build our lit HTML and stuff. So let's do this quickly. Let's say, and let's see what they're using though. Yeah, they have package log.json, so I'm just going to do install, because I'm usually using yarn, and there we have yarn log. So that's why I wanted to see what they're using, so I can run it with the correct package manager. Okay, so now everything should be fine. The next thing that we need to do is go inside our commit.js number 8, which is the repository for today's episode, and link this local module with our application, pretty much. Okay, taking a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a tough process.
Whew.
All right, just while we are waiting to install the stuff, so as far as get it, we are going to make the changes in the lit HTML function so that they're doing whatever we want, right? And for that, we are forking the repo, yeah.
Yes, this is why, because we will need to somehow be able to modify the library internally. Probably there is a way to modify it even without forking the library, but I think that it's much easier to do it like so. And yeah, this is why I did it. So now
another way to do that is probably with aliases, because Webpack have this functionality that you can provide different aliases for importing it. I saw recently demo where the guys were using React instead of React for React native compilation and stuff, and they just provided they said let's the alias for React be React/whatever. They just switch the libraries that they are used, but just a side note. So yeah,
that's another way to do it. So we're here inside the lit HTML library that we forked, and we installed all the dependencies. So now if I run, for example, npm build, we should see maybe run build. Yep, we should see the TypeScript compiler compiling all the files from the library, and probably it created this dist folder, or no, it actually, the configuration probably is different, and it just places the files inside the lib. But anyways, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run yarn link. Yarn link will pretty much create this, will register this package, which is lit HTML. And now I can link it inside other repositories or other libraries that we have, or just applications. Here, if I go to the package JSON, I'm going to see that I do have lit HTML as a dependency. So what I'm going to do is quickly say yarn remove lit HTML. So this is going to remove it from my dependencies. And now if I want to connect it with the local one, I need to say yarn link lit HTML, and pretty much we have it now. So if I run yarn serve, we should be able to build our application and also run it just the way that it was running before. And as you see, it's a little bit strange, but this is because of the changes that we actually made, I think, from before. Yeah, something is re-rendering every time I'm thinking something, which is not very good. So certain things are not working, but we're going to be changing this very soon. So probably it will be much better to just create some dummy content that we're going to be working with, instead of using the whole thing that we created before. So let me just go here and just comment out most of the things like that. And let's just use the lit HTML that we have. So let's say import HTML from lit HTML. And we also need the render. So let's create quickly a component. I'm going to copy this and just paste it here. We don't need this because we're going to use it without our decorators and everything. So let's say that we're going to have an app component, which extends the HTML element. And here inside the constructor, we call the super, then we attach the DOM, attach shadow with mod open, and open. No, open.
Oh, you have open.
Okay. Okay. This is going to return the root, and here I can just call the one template, something like that, and just call it with this template thing.
Just a
And
second.
now I can
it's a bit pixelized. It's not the best video quality. Are you seeing that, or is it just on my end?
I think it's just you because I see it well and like.
Okay, good. Then I'll look into my connection. And my question was whether your connection is the default is in my connection or your guys' connection, but it seems to be in mine because it's a bit on me, and the quality is a bit bad.
I actually don't have an idea, but I can see it on the StreamYard, and it looks pretty okay from what I see. So
okay, then I'll look into my.
Check to see if I've configured the quality of everything, but yeah, it says high definition, so it should be okay.
Yeah, my question was more like if you are on the proper, the right internet network.
Let's see. No, actually, I'm not. I'll quickly change my network then. Hold on.
Yeah, I had a feeling that something's amiss.
Yeah. I think I'm on the right network now, so hopefully things are going to get better. So let's continue. We created our component, and now what we need to do is connect it to the DOM. So I'm going to use this thing that we're actually selecting this div and putting our component inside the div ourselves instead of the browser doing this. And this is actually the way that we're going to be bootstrapping our application. So what I'm going to do is say document of get element by ID. I'm going to put this thing here. The container, and inside the container, what we're going to do is say that we want to get the app component. So first, let's register it. Let's say custom elements, define, and let's say app root. That, and say that the app root is going to be this app component. And here I'm going to do like app equals new app component. This is going to run this function. It's going to create a template. And now what I need to do is say container.append child and just append it like this. And hopefully we're going to see the test. Okay. So the first thing that we would like to do is whenever we call the HTML here, we want to actually create everything necessary inside, which means that if we have certain like directives or whatever, we want to be able to execute them. So in order to be able to achieve this, let's create, for example, a directive or some kind of a binding or whatever. It doesn't actually matter because all of them need to be run whenever we call the HTML function. So let's create a directive. So I'm going to import the directive, and I'm going to say const my directive equals, and let's say that is going to be a directive. And here, what we are going to do is get the part, which is going to be a not part. And also, let's say part dot set value hello, and then part dot commit. Okay, and this my directive. I'm going to use it here, right?
Yep.
Okay, and let's say my directive and call it, because it's going to be a function. It won't accept any arguments, and what we want to be able to see, like let's test it out. Let's do a console log and say my directive has been called. Put here, and let's debug to see. I'm actually going to put a breakpoint here. My idea is that whenever we call this thing here, whenever we're creating a template, I want to show that actually this directive is not called. It's actually going to be called whenever we do the render function. So let's refresh. I'm wondering why we're not entering the debugger that I just put there, which is very strange. Yes, I disabled my breakpoints, that's why. Okay, so as you see, we are actually inside the debugger. We actually created our template, but the directive is not being called yet. And this is something that we want to be able to achieve, not on the render phase, but inside the, HTML phase. So, any ideas how we can actually achieve this? I think that we should start from. So usually, what did the HTML function do? It was very simple from what I remember, but let's examine it here inside the lit HTML. Wait, this is something. It's not the right thing. Let me just go here and open it with Visual Studio Code. So this is the one that we forked. Let me just restructure my desktops now. So what we are searching for is the render function, or let's do it like this, render TX, there it is. So the render, what that actually it's doing is creating the node part. This is the node part that is going to be our template result. And then it automatically calls commit. So this is where I think that this is where whenever we are constructing the node part, actually, this is where we call all the directives. But let's quickly see that, because I'm not very sure, or maybe it's on the commit phase. Let's see how it's working. So what I'm going to do is come here and just say render. Can I just debug it in TypeScript? Okay, it's going to be JavaScript then. It doesn't matter so much. So we have the render. Is this the render from? I think it's the same, right? Yeah, it's the same. So let's refresh and let's see what is happening.
Sorry, can you just zoom in a bit on the debugger?
Yep, I'm zooming in, no problem.
Yeah.
Is this okay?
Yeah, it looks a lot better because it was just a little bit small.
So as you remember, I just put a console log. So the idea is to see when this console log is going to be called. So we are removing some nodes if there are any. We are setting some parts. We are appending the parts into the container, and obviously it's going to be on the commit phase. So we need to go inside this commit phase to see what exactly it's going to do, what's going to happen. So we go further down. This is not a directive, so we're going to go further down. It's not going to be a primitive, it's actually going to be template result. So this is something that we want to change, right? So the commit template result, what it does, it's pretty much this. It does some operations over the HTML. I guess.
Yeah, and it has the bindings.
This is the HTML currently. I have a bunch of other breakpoints that I didn't remove from last time, so that's why we're going into other files. But anyways, what we're doing here is checking to see if we have a template instance. So we're checking to see if we already have like created this or just rendered it already. And if we haven't rendered it, what we're doing is we're creating this template instance. And inside this template instance, we're, I don't know, like creating the things, I guess. So here we are cloning it. We're like going inside the template instance. We are walking over the different nodes. And probably this is the part where we're actually going to be committing. We'll see when we're actually going to enter the
Here it is, I think.
console log. Okay, so this is when we entered it. Inside the commit phase of an individual node. So this is where we are now. Commit template result, update.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we want to be able to do is, actually, I just don't want to be, I don't want to, I want to execute this, but I don't want to be attaching it to the DOM. So let's continue forward and see where we're actually going to end up. See when actually this is going to be connected to the DOM, but I think that I already missed that. Yep, I missed it. Anyways, let's refactor a little bit. So as you remember, we actually had this function before we created. It was called render without commit. And what it did, it actually created a template result, but it didn't commit it. And I guess this is what we actually want to move from our application into
Or lit HTML.
Yeah, into lit HTML. So I'm just going to say render without commit. It takes absolutely the same things, but what it doesn't do is doesn't commit the template result. This is what actually attaches the template to the DOM. So we're just returning the part here. So this is the first thing. And since I want to be able to use it inside my project, I need to export it. And in order to do this, I have to go to lit HTML/TS. And here I'm going to search for render. And I'm going to add the render without commit, like that. So now if I come here and just say build, npm run build, I should be able to use this, right? So let's see. Let's go into our code. I'm going to get the render without commit. There it is. So I think that, Harry, what you mentioned before with replacing the lit HTML, this is what you won't be able to do. I mean, you won't be able to have to import stuff that are new from like the previous code that you already have, I think, because
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, if you're changing only the location from where you're getting the library, you won't be able to like import stuff that are new. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to say render without commit. Here I'm going to get the node or template node. And what I want to do is maybe just use a set timeout and say after 1 second, I want to commit this node.
Yeah.
So my idea is to actually see that we're actually going to have a delay before it gets, I think let's remove all the breakpoints that we have from the previous time because it's very annoying. Remove all, but anyways, do it like this. So let's go inside the index.ts and yep. As you see, currently we don't have anything that is attached to the DOM. And whenever we do this, we actually go inside here. We see that it's a template result, and we the commit template results. So yeah. We didn't change much. what we actually did is that whenever we are calling the render, we kind of disconnected the attachment of this thing. So now we have to do the other part, right? When actually what we want to do is call all the directives upon the HTML face. Any ideas how to do that?
Maybe say commit somewhere in our work loop or something. I don't know.
So we have here the HTML function currently is only creating the template result as we see. So it's not doing much. But here, since we created this render without commit function, and here we're returning the part, what we actually can do is maybe maybe we can create a method that we can call, so we can actually apply the changes. I mean,
so it renders all of them. So we
can actually say something like template node apply changes, or apply, or I don't know how to, maybe apply is okay.
apply changes sound okay.
Yeah, sound good.
I don't know, apply changes, but yeah, okay. I mean, it's okay. Let's say it like this. If we do this, just commit everything, but don't do this part, right? So where do we need to put this? We need to put it inside the parts. And in, let's say, what is it? Commit template result. So this is where we need to put this. Apply changes. And what we need to do is call this, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
No, this is going to, no, this, I'm not sure. Let's see what was this doing. I think that this is not what we need to do, because here it actually commits the template. So I think that what we need to do is maybe copy this part and just put it inside our function. Sorry, because I want to remove this part. This is the part that actually connects the templates to the DOM. So this is what I want not to happen. Okay, so what is value? This is something that it's missing now. Oops. Where did this value come from? This is the pending value. Okay, so here inside the apply changes, what I want to do is say const value equals pending value. I'm not sure why it's not happy with it. Quantities of time unknown. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. So here, I think that we're pretty okay with what we have. The only thing that we want to be able to do, we have here the update. So we're going to skip the update for now. This is whenever we have the instance. Let's focus on whenever we don't have an instance. I don't want to commit this. I want to create the fragment, but I want to leave this part. I want to leave this part for like later time. So what I want to do is maybe create a function like this. Just return a function whenever, and I leave this part for a later time.
Yeah, that looks okay.
The only problem here is that it says apply changes, or we should probably say get.
What's the thing that applies changes?
I don't know, get apply changes function.
I think that works.
Yeah, I think that it's okay for now. We'll see how it's going to. We can change it anytime we want. Anyways. Okay, so let's see now how we can use this. So let's build the delete HTML that we have. Oops, we have an error. What does it say? Not all paths return a value. So yeah, this is something that we need to change. So let me just quickly do something like this. What is your problem? I don't really understand. Okay, let's see. We're currently testing things out, so I think that it's okay for us to use the any type anyways. Okay, so here what we want to do is get apply changes functions. So this is going to be apply changes. And what we want to do is call it, right? Huh? You not invoked an object with...
This is possibly undefined. What?
I think something is very strange here because
Running somewhere else.
Oh yeah, here.
Somewhere else.
Here. Let's comment this part out. I think that's yeah.
What exactly does it handle? You can.
I think that it handles some sanitization for certain things. If you have like
okay. Let's not sanitize it for now.
I think for now we can just keep it and then we can, because we want to see what's going to happen now. That's all. So let's build our project as well, or it's already built. I'm not sure. I think it's not. So we call the apply changes here. Probably it will be a good idea to put a breakpoint somewhere here. Okay, so what we expect now is to get the function, and now when we say apply changes for our directives to get called, and there they are. We just call them, but we don't have anything on the view, and oops,
no,
we actually do have something on the view. This is something that I wanted to do here. That's strange. Let's see why this is happening. So let's go inside the apply changes. Okay, so we call the instance update. I think this actually, okay. The commit node, this is what we don't want to do. I need to remove this part here.
Yeah, it's actual commit. That's the part we left out by with the runner without commit.
In that case, maybe what I want to do.
But then when would the actual fragment be rendered?
So what if we do it like this then?
Yeah, so that the instance is up to date and its values are up to date. But if we do that and we update the values, I think that this value, the other part should go up as well.
This one?
Yes, because we are updating the actual values, and if we don't do that.
Okay, let's test it out. So let's build our project and let's restart our server, and let's see what we are going to have now. So we are calling the apply changes, and now we're committing. But we actually saw that this thing got called. So everything's fine for now. So this is what is connecting the thing to the DOM, but I'm not sure why do we need this template result then, and then we call commit on it, since apply changes does exactly the same thing, right? Yeah. So yeah, we can just remove this part, right? So we don't need this. Actually, what we need to do is we need to do this here.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going to happen. What are these errors that they're complaining? Okay, this is from the reflect metadata that I removed it, and we're using certain stuff. That's why it's complaining. Okay. Yep. Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Bam. Good.
Yeah, everything's working. Okay.
The code is properly constructed, but it's just not rendered. It gets constructed before being rendered, and we call the renderer ourselves on everything.
Yeah, but everything's working the way that we wanted it, so everything's okay. The only thing is, I think that we should rename this to commit then, get commit function, and here we just call the commit, because apply doesn't, it's not something that it's, I don't know, that I can understand. So where did we put this? Yeah, let's say get commit function. Get function. Oops. Why?
Name page. Why? Yeah.
Probably even just commit function, it will be like, okay, because you know that you're getting, I mean, like, I don't know.
Now the question is, why is it failing to update it?
The thing is that why I want to have the get is because if I have commit function, I'm not sure, I cannot understand that this is going to be a function.
Oh, yeah, because now it's returning a function, right? I guess.
Yeah. That's why I want to keep the commit. I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to rename it, but it doesn't matter because I can just do it like so.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's rebuild it and let's fix it here. So this is going to be commit, and this is going to be get commit function. Oops. And there it is. Everything. It's fine, I think.
Yep.
So we are ready with the first part, I think. That means that let's try to create another component. I'm going to quickly copy this and just paste it here. So let's say test component. And here, let's create another, no, let's create this thing. Oops. So this is going to be test template, one template. Let's say title, something. And this is going to be the test component. We're going to have a title. It's going to be a string. We're going to define it. And what we expect, let me just see here, we have to call this function. Is it complaining? It should be context title. Yeah. And everything's fine, right?
On line 27, it's complaining that you're using app component.
Yeah, I was talking about this part, but
yeah, that part's okay. No, I think all of the parts are okay.
And you should define it as app test or something. 27 one again, yeah.
Yeah, even though I'm not using this actually, because we're going to be, I mean, yeah, I should put it because I'm going to count on the browser to actually create it. This is the next thing that we're actually going to modify. So actually our template can create it for us. So here, if I come and just say something like app test, and maybe do something like dot title equals something. We want to see that this binding is going to happen as well, right? I mean, we want to see that this title is going to show up inside the template. Let's see what's going to happen. Anyways, we needed to create another component because I want to be able to let the lit HTML construct this instead of the browser. So let's see. We're committing inside the app component. No, let's refresh. Yep. So where are we now? Let's refresh again. Oops, we have an error. No, everything's fine. So now I'm actually inside the constructor of my test component, and we see that we have already called my directive. The only thing that I'm not sure if this title is set. The problem is that let's say
it should not be. I mean, like, I think that it's called because of the rewind 28, because you're like defining it there.
Let's see. I'm not sure. The interesting part is that this gets constructed first. I mean, but I guess it's pretty normal because it's inside the other component template, right? Yeah, so everything's working fine because I think that what happens now is we say render without commit. Let's see where. So we are saying render without commit, and which should be able to create everything necessary. And then we get the commit function, and this is where the other component gets created, or no, or on the next cycle. And here we should have the title set. There it is. So the idea was to be able to set the title whenever we are calling the get commit function. So this is where everything gets set, actually. This is where my directive gets called. So, right? There it is.
The actual value.
Yeah, this means that we already created the directive and all the bindings to the individual elements. So everything's perfect. We do have the title. This is what I wanted to see. Anyways, we see hello, but we don't see our template.
That's really strange. Can you inspect the code? Do we have the app tests there somewhere?
Let's see what we have inside the HTML. App root, we have the app tests, but we don't have anything inside the template. That's strange. Inside the div, we don't have anything. This thing doesn't get rendered. I wonder why. We are calling commit, right? So everything should be fine. I'm not sure why it's not rendering there. Let's see if the function gets called, but it should. I'll put a breakpoint, sadly.
Here it is, get committed.
That's strange. It should work. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Let's see if this function is getting called. I'm using it correctly, right? Yep.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Let's
Strange.
let's see now. Refresh.
Okay, that component gets constructed.
Yeah. We're calling everything, but I'm not sure why this doesn't get rendered.
Can you inspect the elements so that we can see if there is something there?
But
I think that the title was empty while you were debugging. Can you redebug it and see if you have the title inside the context?
Yeah, that's the thing, maybe.
I think it was an empty string while you were skipping like the steps.
Because
okay. I
we
understand
have
what you
rendering without committing
Yeah,
again.
it's empty.
Yeah, it's an empty string. Yeah. Okay. I understood. So this is another problem. So what we need to do is somehow call the function after, right?
Yeah, update the value.
This was interesting. Render without commit. So we need to be able to kind of how should we do this? Any ideas, guys? We need to be able to create the templates.
When?
But okay, I think that
So are we creating the template before receiving the title, or what's happening? Because I saw that there is nothing in the context, but what's the real problem?
The problem is exactly that we're creating and rendering without committing. Like the moment we're creating our template, it is before we actually have the
title, or thanks for the elaboration. All right, it works now.
the problem actually is not that we're doing something wrong. The problem is, I mean, of course, it is because we're doing something wrong.
No, just like,
The idea is as follows. So whenever I'm calling the render without commit, let's observe it. Let's put a few breakpoints here. So what I did now is I put it on the next tick to be able to get called. So here we're inside the app component. So we're creating our shadow root. We're calling the template function. Now we're getting the template nodes and getting the commit function, right? So whenever we call the commit function, it starts creating everything, but it's still, as you see, it still hasn't run our bindings, right?
Oh yeah.
And now if I do a promise resolve, then that means that on the next tick, this is going to happen. And now since everything is going to run properly, we're going to see our directive being called. And now I enter, and now I already can create my template, and we do have the value. So everything's okay. There it is.
yeah. And because we have timeouts, they're rendering like we the first one and the second one.
Okay, I think that this is fine. The problem here is when this function is getting created. The problem is that currently we're counting on the browser to individually create these elements, which are the uproot and the uproot not we're constructing it ourselves, but at best the browser is creating it, and we cannot control when it's going to create it. And this is why we need to be able to create it ourselves instead of the browser doing so.
Yeah.
Okay, so next thing, let's create the components ourselves. Why not? I mean, we don't want to count on the browser because it's very unexpected when this thing happens. In order to do this, should we uncomment this and fix it, or maybe I'm just going to do this like
To do. Yeah. 2 years later.
I mean, we're only like testing out anyway, so
I'm just messing around.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the way, should we? Okay, let's do this. Why not? I'm wondering if we should see what let's first see what's happening whenever we're updating a value instead of creating our components itself, because the update is interesting if it's going to work or not. So let's see what we need to do. I'm going to remove this test for now. And what I'm going to do is just wait a second. Okay, sorry. So what I'm going to do is, let's say that we have a property here. Text. Actually, we're going to set it like some string. And let's use it inside the template instead of this directive. Or how should we do it? Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. Like context.text.
Context. No,
Your container, yeah.
But I don't know where this container came from. Anyways, I think from the top, yeah. Okay, text. So we're going to commit it. Actually, let's remove this timeout. We don't actually need it right now. Or leave it. Okay, let's leave it. And then what we want to do is inside this set timeout, let's do this, or let's do another set timeout. That is going to change the text. This dot text equals something else. And since we changed it, we want to be able to re-render, correct? So what we want to do is call the template function again and pretty much do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And we need to call the commit. So I'm just going to call it, let's call it inside of another set timeout, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
when timeout section, that was like actually becoming something.
Just we're just testing around, so I think it's fine. We have a little
production.
Okay, let's remove this part. Let's refresh. It is actually working. That's good. Let's see if it's working as we want it to be working. So what is it? Index.ts? Yep. Okay. Okay, we're committing the changes. Then we enter in here, changing the text.
Yep. And now
Perfect. Everything's working fine, I think. The only thing that is interesting for me is what will happen if I put my directive and run it like so. Since I'm calling the template again, it should get called to tags, right?
it will be re-rendered as well.
My idea is when actually will this happen, right? So it should happen whenever I call the second commit.
Yes.
Or
no, it won't happen when you call the second commit. It's when you yeah,
something like that. Yeah, exactly.
And then update the bindings and.
So we have it called once. Now we call the render without commit. We get the commit function. Yeah, and this is when it gets called, and then we just update. Perfect. Everything's working fine. So let's go and modify how the template instance works, because this is where we are actually parsing the tree, right? This is the part where we're creating this tree walker, and we can actually see if this is a node or it's something else, and blah, blah, blah. And this is where we need to actually modify things a little bit, right, guys?
Yep.
So our custom components, they're going to be, they should end up here, right? I think. Let's create a custom component or whatever, like tag, to see what's going to happen. So we're coming inside the template here. Should I remove this part? Let's remove it.
Yep.
Very ugly, so I don't like it. And let's
much better now.
App tests here. Okay, we're putting the app tests. Let's put the title. And let's see what's going to happen. So let's go inside the template instance. In that template instance, I want to see what's happening here. Because here it says handle attribute expressions, so what I think is that we're going to end up in this part. My idea is to somehow change the content there. So we have a problem because we actually did not end up there. The component actually got constructed even before this part. So as you remember, like lit HTML was replacing certain things with their own tag, right? So probably what we want to do is somehow do the same for our components.
And how are we going to do that?
Easy. We are going to see how they were doing it. So I think it was inside which function? Inside the HTML function, right? When they're generating the template result. I think this is where they were putting it. Here, when they're getting the thing. Or no? Okay, let's debug again. I forgot. So here inside the tests, I want to be inside the app component actually. Okay, and let's see what's going to happen. So inside here, we're calling the template function, and we're calling directives. Result, we're constructing the template result, but when are these tags getting created? It will happen soon, don't worry. Setting the value, and then whenever we commit, probably get commit function. Let's see what's happening here. Come on. There it is, not marker. Here is like the part. So it's inside the template result actually, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry?
When we're actually creating it.
So, what should we do though? How should we do this? I think here, yep. I think the best place is here to get whenever we have all the HTML and just fetch all the app tests or just something that looks like a web component and like add something into it. Maybe this part. Or maybe just put lit in front. I don't know. I mean, let's do this. So template result. This is 103. Template result 103. Something 103 here. Okay, 20, but doesn't matter. So whenever we have all the HTML, we want to replace all the tags that look like this. So let's go to regex 101 and let's copy and paste this part. Okay, and let's do it. So what we need to select is text that has words, and then it has a dash, and then it has other stuff. But it starts with an opening tag, and also start like so. Like that. I think this is what we need, right?
Yep.
We're going to do it the very basic case, and then we're going to check with the like if we have multiple dashes. I'm not sure. Probably we can create custom components that have multiple dashes, because in this case it won't work, right?
Yep.
Maybe if we do like can I do like so? No. Any idea how to add multiple dashes as well? Maybe we should group this like so. I think maybe like so.
We work. Yeah, that seems to work. But it's matching when it's a full match.
Sorry, my nose is a little bit blocked today. Okay, so let's try it out. Let's go inside the HTML and let's say HTML equals HTML.replace, and we want to replace all the things. I'm just going to put G in the back, so it's globally. And what do we want to replace it with? So let's see if this is working on, yeah, in JavaScript. So we need the first group, right? The first group is the whole thing. So we need to replace the first group and add something in front of it. So let's get the first group. And here what we're actually going to do is use some of these markers that we have. I'm wondering where they are from. I think that I saw them once inside here. Marker, there it is. So we actually need this part without the bracket thing. So let's export it as another thing, export. Oops. Okay, let's call it mark and use this. Edit. And here I'm going to say, so how was the mark actually? It was lit HTML, the number, and then maybe like so. I think it's going to be fine, right? Okay, let's see what's going to happen. And why are we actually doing this? Just because we don't want to. Oops. What?
Wrong? Sorry, what?
Did you build?
I am trying to build it, but it cannot get the mark from the template JS, and I do.
Did you build a lib?
Yeah, maybe you didn't build lib. Or yeah, you were building the lib when it.
I'm building the. Okay, why is it not? Maybe. We don't have another thing called mark, right? No. Maybe I'm not importing it from where I need to. Oh wait, I think that the problem is that I'm not using it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sleepy. I have to do it like so, right?
Yeah.
So now it won't complain.
Hopefully.
Yes.
It works.
Okay. Okay, let's see what's going to happen now. So we go back and refresh. So, okay, now is the time. So we have the mark and we have the first group. And what do we get? Oops, we forgot the brackets. I forgot I forgot this bracket that I'm removing.
Yeah, it's using
and another thing here.
We also need to include the close. Occasionally add the closing dash.
Yeah.
The closing line. I forgot what the charter name was.
So just do another regex for the closing, and we're cool. Like one for the opening, one for the closing. So I think it's legit solution.
Can we just use this one? I'm not sure. I think that we can, if we do so, for example, if we group this, it's either going to be there or not, right? Yep.
Yeah.
We have it empty and we do have it here. So this is going to be the first group, and then we're going to use the second one. So we can do it. I think we can do it with a single regex.
Yeah, it should work.
We can do like this. We can close the tag, get the first group, and then use the second one, like so, and maybe it will work.
Yeah, but you didn't update the you didn't update the actual regex. You're not here. You're not capturing the mesh.
Oh yeah. I need to do like so. Okay, thanks.
While debugging, like before you compile it, Sasha already saw it.
Yeah. So let's see. It's working. Yes.
Yeah, that looks exactly like
it looks perfect. I think that looks perfect. I really like it. Okay, so next part. Where are we going to creating them? The individual components. So we're here where actually I thought that we need to be handling the cases. And the only problem is that we're going to fall into this thing if we do have, oh no, yeah, there it is. Actually, we do have the tag. It's lit something. Okay, let's see what was happening here. I'm going to refresh the page so we can see why we're ending up there. So this is the template instance, and here we're creating this tree walker, and what it does, it actually creates this walker, and we can iterate over each node of the tree. And this thing, the node here, it's actually the individual nodes of this like DOM that we have. So this is the place where we actually can get this thing that we constructed. So we have the individual parts, as you see, and I think that probably it's not going to be a good thing to put it inside the else, even though if we do have like a binding to this thing, we should be. Let's see what's happening here. So we have a part that is node, and if it's a node, we need to handle it. So we leave it to lit HTML. So if it's not a node, we pretty much do this part. Okay, let's see. We iterate all over the parts, and now we end up here. And now the node is our lit node that we created. So what we need to do is check to see if this is a custom element, right? So we have the local name, and we can check to see if the local name contains this tag that we just added, right?
Yeah, that should work.
Okay, so let's see. I should go inside the template instance. Here. And say, if not dot, how is it called? Local name, yep. Dot local name. It doesn't have it anyways. We know that it's there, so any local name includes, and let's say what was it? Actually, it was mark, right?
Yeah.
So if we have the mark, that means that it's a custom component. So what we need to do is, for example, get the selector. So let's get the original selector for this component. And this is going to be pretty much the same as the one on top, but here we're not going to say include, we're going to say replace, and we're going to replace the mark with an empty string, right? So we can actually create the original selector. This is going to be the one that's app test, and we have an extra dash here that we need to remove as well. So something like that, right?
Doesn't the mark include the dash?
No, we're setting it.
Oh yeah,
I
then
put it here.
yeah, okay.
So we're replacing it with an empty string, and we are getting the selector of the component. And now the next problem is, where are we going to get the selector? Alexander, you have a very beautiful chair. He went somewhere. Anyways, so what we need to do is somehow provide a list of, or like some kind of a dictionary with all the components that we have. So this template instance, whenever we're constructing it, what I can think of is we can provide, for example, some kind of a context. Just say context, I don't know, any, because I don't know what the structure is going to be. And let's say we're going to have read-only context of any type, and then say context equals context. Okay, and I'm going to put it as an optional argument. So this means that whenever we're creating the template instance, let's see where actually we're creating this template instance. Let's find all references. Okay, we're exporting it here. We're using it inside the parts. So here, get commit function, this is where we're creating it. So I can say get commit function is going to receive a context of type any. And here, I'm going to just provide it, right? Why not? Let's go. Looks cool. So inside this context, let's build the library. I think that we don't, or maybe we will have errors because I didn't finish what I wanted to do. Okay, let's
Unused selector.
Yeah. Let's go back and use it. I'm just going to log it out. Console.log. Okay, I'm using it now, so I shouldn't complain. Let's build. And let's see inside the get commit function, what we need to do is provide some kind of a context. So this is going to be like our, if you're writing Angular, it's going to be something similar to our ng model, where we are actually defining all the custom elements that we have, the custom components. So I can imagine something like this. So just very quickly, and it's not very beautiful, I'm going to say const declarations. It's going to be an array, or it's going to be an empty object. And here, what I'm going to do is say declarations app test equals test component. Very quickly, I'm going to say it's any. And the same thing I'm going to do with my app root, even though actually I'm not going to do it because we don't need the app root, we're constructing it ourselves here, so everything's fine. So let's provide the context. So here I'm going to say declarations or whatever. We can just say declarations like so. Because in the future we can actually add more things. We can add an injector and just do whatever we want. And here inside the declarations, we provide the different components that we have registered. And for now, this is going to be only the app test. And now what we need to do is basically find it, right? So let's say context.declarations And if we have something for the selector, we're going to get the constructor. So let's say constructor, like so. And we're going to create an instance. Post instance equals new constructor. And what we need to do now is just replace the current node with the one that we currently created, our instance, right? So let's do this. So let's say not dot parent node dot replace child, new child instance, and the old child is node, right? The only problem is if we don't have a constructor, so I think we're okay for now. The only problem is that we are leaving the mark no matter what. And I'm not sure if this is the best case, but what I just want to do is see if this is going to work. And one other thing that I forgot, we need to say node equals instance here, because we're passing into this function handle attribute expressions, and we need to pass the new node that we just created. And maybe we should do this, no, it should be here. So let's build and see what's going to happen. Whew, a lot of work today, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's refresh and hopefully everything is going to work fine. Okay, we end up here. Let's see if we have the debugger in place. Let's put it here. Okay, so we do have the mark. Do we get the selector? We do get the selector. We have the declarations. We have a component for this selector. We get the constructor, and then we create our component. Yay, we come here. We do some stuff, doesn't matter what. And then we just replace, oops, current node property to your worker provided value is not of type node. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe. I think it's obvious that I did something wrong.
Let's see what.
Maybe this thing here, I shouldn't replace it like so. Wait. What should... Since the not is an element, it should work. Okay, let's debug and see where it breaks. I disabled. Let me just go here where we're doing the check and remove everything else, because this is where it breaks, obviously. So we get this part, we construct our new instance, there it is, and we say that we want to replace this node with the one that we have. So my idea now, see that this thing, let's say not parent. Node. It's no, because we just replaced it, right? Let's say instance.parent node. This is a document fragment, and inside we need to see the app tests, our custom component. And here we replace this node with the new node. right?
Yep.
Everything
it's okay.
looks fine. Everything looks fine to me. I'm not sure why it's breaking. Okay, let's go inside this function. Everything is working fine for now, except this. Help to set current node property on tree worker, provided value is not of type node here.
So
Maybe
it's saying that our component is not a node or something like that.
I think that
Yeah,
maybe
something-
maybe this node that we're currently replacing, it's still somewhere. It still exists somewhere here. This stack, I'm not sure. Let's see what's happening. So let's refresh and see once again. So we don't have any problem until here, and then I guess we handle these things. And what happens next? What do we have in this stack? Walker current node. It's still the old thing. But
Yeah, because we have the stack, it's taken it from the stack. That's the problem.
I think that we need to replace the current node with the one that we have now as well. Maybe.
Or probably push our new node in the stack because it's like stack pop and it will probably magically work somehow.
But the thing is that the stack pop is the stack pop is empty just because the current node is this one that we already have. Let's replace it. Let's see what's going to happen if we replace it. So say that node is this and Walker current node is equal to node to let's see what's going to happen. That's very strange. Okay, we refresh and we come here. So now the current node should be, okay, this node. It works. Okay, it just worked. That this is cool. So I guess it at some point it's using this current node, and just because we already kind of removed it, replaced it with our new one, it was giving us a hard time. But yeah, that's cool. I don't know about you guys, but I really like what we just did. We're actually constructing the components ourselves, and now we can actually implement our dependency injection mechanism as well, just because we have this thing. And whenever we're creating the get commit function, I don't know if Aleksander saw because he went somewhere. I am now providing this, I say get commit function, and I'm providing this context that it's going to be used whenever I'm committing the function, and this is where I'm actually providing my declarations of the individual components inside.
It's really cool.
Yes, so I think that we did really good. I think that we are kind of almost ready with everything, or at least we should be. The only thing that I can think of that I'm not very sure is if our components, the current components that we have, are going to be updated correctly. Because I'm not sure if this is going to handle the updates, right? This is probably not going to handle the updates. Because this is the template instance and this is getting construct. No, but it should. Let's test it out. I don't know. Let's go inside the index and let's create our. We are creating it. Let's just update the value. So here we're going to say context.text. Inner, so context.text. This means that whenever we change the text, let's say for some time. This dot text equals let's actually move this into an update function. So it's much better to just call it and use it.
Yeah, but now we lose the commit. Actually, no, we're not. Okay, yeah, never mind.
So we're just putting this set timeout because as we saw in the previous episode, we have this work loop, and inside the commit phase, this is what we're actually going to be calling. And here what I want to do is just update the text and just say this dot update. It's much better now, I think. I need to say that it exists. And here's well this dot update. Right. Okay. Probably I should do the same here, right? Because the problem is now that we cannot understand if this changed the title, so we cannot re-render the component. Right, guys?
Yep.
The thing is that we're not using our library anymore, so we have to do these things manually. We did have like a add detect changes that was doing this for us before, the decorator, but now we don't have it, and we have to do it ourselves.
You know, I was confused before you said that we don't have our directory, because for the last couple of weeks I got so used to it, so I know that everything just works and renders whenever you change the attributes and stuff.
Yep. So probably not the next episode, because in the next episode we'll probably want to link this with our work loop, but after the next episode, probably we're going to look into Zone.js, and we're going to make everything work without any extra decorators. So it's going to be fun. Let me just copy the update function that we have here. Let me put it here and replace it with the one that we are using here, right? We did this. We don't need this anymore. And actually, do I need this?
Because of the bindings.
Yeah.
That's why we had this promise.
Yes. Probably we're going to change this.
Yeah,
No, we shouldn't change. Okay, let's do like that. We're actually going to implement our own life cycles, just the ones that Angular does and React as well. So there are going to be different life cycles, and this update is going to be called after the life cycle, the last one, which is the
parent.
whatever. We'll see how we're going to call it. Okay, so let's update. Oh, come on.
Why is this misbehaving?
I don't know. Anyways, let's see if it's going to work, because we're kind of running out of time. This what?
Really did it. Excuse me?
Where is this inside the part? This value dot update. It's not a function. Maybe I'm not providing something correct here. Did it change? I'm seeing it changing, and it's kind of like, let's see why it's complaining. Yeah, as you see, this some string is getting constructed 2 times.
That's strange.
Can you go to the place that we're like constructing based on the context stuff? Because I'm not sure if you added a check if the thing is already constructed to do stuff or.
Probably not. Yes, this is something that we didn't do. So this is probably the problem. It was inside the template instance. So yeah, probably here we need to do is to see if it is constructed or not, because otherwise I should not be constructing it 2 times. So we're constructing it once. We are just entering here only 1 time actually. And this is when our template instance is getting created. I think the problem is that the value here is a document fragment and it doesn't have an update. So my question is, where is this being changed? We kind of moved this, right? Somewhere, didn't we do something like this?
Yeah, back there.
Problem is here, this thing, right? But why it was working before that? That's strange. This is the template instance. That's correct.
Okay, yeah. And we're constructing it. Then we're constructing the second component.
But what is this? This is the template instance. So it's correct, okay?
Yeah.
And why does this change?
This value template is an instance of template instance.
Maybe we should.
Maybe because it already is a template instance, but.
Yeah, but we didn't change this code very much, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I haven't played around with it at all.
This is the template result. Okay, since we're like it's already 12, I think that we should put this for our next episode, because I'm not sure if we'll be able to finish it. We see that there are a few other things that we need to change, but let's leave it for the other episode, so it's more interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, it was quite a journey today.
All right, guys. So.
Harry.
That's so funny.
Yeah, the thumbnail is just, it's priceless.
Yeah, you should do a screenshot. Let me just. Yeah, wait.
I missed it.
No, wait. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Harry, your connection dropped in the exactly perfect moment.
I think that he cannot hear you. Anyways, Harry, are you with us?
I'm back again.
Like
Some connection issues.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. After we stop the stream, you should go back and watch the episode. It's very funny. Anyways, yeah. So, any last words?
If I remember right, Aleksander has a great pick for today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to share it with us?
Well, not really. It's kind of unrelated. So,
why not?
Okay, then I have a new favorite nut, and macadamia took the first spot.
Anyway, okay. Any picks?
Actually, I have 2. Like, the one is related to the thing that I mentioned about like changing your React with Preact for React Native applications. It's not like the best. It's not like with the full functionalities of React, but it's smaller and better. I've shared the link in the chat of the Streamify thing that we're using. And the other interesting thing that unfortunately doesn't have yet a guide for Angular, because Angular is a framework that I'm using and I want to use this thing that is called Purge CSS inside Angular. It's like this library that helps you find all CSS that's not used and like purge it. So it's pretty nice tool, because as your application grows, there's like a lot of CSS that's like unused, or you can like bring it out in a mixin or whatever, and this tool like can help you with finding these CSS files.
Nice.
And those are my picks from this week.
Nice, that's interesting. By the way, I want to say that Preact is like very small, and probably it's even faster. It doesn't like this is because it actually inside of the library doesn't work like as React is working. So they are like you pretty much have the same functionality, but it does it in a different way. So yeah, just a note.
Like a few months ago, I was on this conference in Sofia about JavaScript, it's JS whatever, and there was a guy that explained in details the benefits of Preact and how it's what's more faster, and like it's reduced with more than 20-30% their bundles or something like that. And yeah, probably it's a great thing to look into if you're using React and yeah, you want to try something different with the same feel. So that's it.
Okay, so I think that's all from us, right?
Yeah.
For now. So next Saturday we're going to like continue and fix the other things that are still broken. But I think that we did a pretty good job today. So
yeah,
next time we're going to continue with the other stuff. Okay, guys. Well, see you next Saturday, and
see you guys.
And very productive week.